Hello, my name is Matt Burnell, and I'm one of the professional services consultants at Effisoft. The following tutorial will cover the administrator screens within the Effisoft Transact application. This will include batch class management, batch instance management, folder management, reports, and system configuration. The first administrator screen will be the batch class management screen. To access the batch class management screen, we'll use the administrator menu from the Effisoft Transact homepage. Using the arrow, drop it down and select batch class management. Log into Effisoft Transact with your user credentials. Batch class management is where a batch class and all of the related elements are defined, configured, and updated. Batch classes can be created, copied, exported, imported, modified, or deleted from the batch class manager. Batch class management is where roles can be assigned to batch classes. Each batch class will have a unique identifier, a unique drop folder location, and a priority level from 1 to 100, with 1 being the highest priority. The graph on the left side of the screen depicts information related to the selected batch class. To open a batch class, either select the batch class and click Open or double-click. A batch class is where all of the related elements are defined, configured, and updated. For example, ingestion configuration, document types, index fields, extraction rules, validation rules, export configuration. Document types can be created, copied, exported, imported, modified, or deleted from the batch class. Within the document types, this is where all of its related elements are defined, configured, and updated. Within an index field, this is where all of its related elements are configured and updated. Within tables, this is where a user can define tables, the columns, and the extraction rules associated with that table. Other attributes can be defined within the system, such as hotkeys to execute certain scripts, database export information, any RecoStar project files, database lookup information based on a document or a field level. Within a batch class, there are modules. Modules are the containers for the plugins. The modules should stay in the default order. The plugins within the modules are what perform the work. Some plugins have switches that can be modified or turned on and off. Other plugins have no switches or configurations that can be modified. Plugins can be reordered, but need to maintain a logical order of execution. For example, key value extraction needs to be executed prior to format conversion. This is because if data wasn't extracted, then there is nothing to format. Plugins can be removed from the workflow. If a plugin is not needed, it should be removed from the workflow. If a plugin is turned off, it should be removed from the workflow. For instance, advanced barcode extraction is turned off and is not needed for this document capture workflow. Therefore, it should be removed. Then the workflow should be deployed. Plugins can be placed in any module of the workflow, again, ensuring that they remain in a logical order. For example, the page process scripting plugin is inside of the extraction module, but it is using logic based on a user interaction at the review document module to merge documents together. One of the ingestion configurations that can be configured at the batch class level is the email configuration. This is where an administrator would define an email address to be monitored with the password, the incoming server, the server type, whether it's IMAP, POP, or Exchange, the folder, the security type, and the port. Scanner profiles can also be configured within the batch class. This is the default profile and cannot be removed from the interface, but more profiles can be added for the web scanner. The last item here is the batch class field. The batch class field is a field that is applied to the entire batch instance. These fields can be mapped to an individual index field at the document type. It can be exported to a database column or used in custom scripting. The next administrator screen we will discuss is the batch instance management. Batch instance management is where all batch instances can be viewed that are in the various statuses. Please note that the status of finish and deleted is cleaned up approximately every 15 minutes. The batch instance management interface provides a detailed view of the status, priority, and associated batch class information in the current user. The interface allows for the opening of a batch instance to be reviewed or validated by the administrator, restarting of the batch instance from the current module, a previous module, the first module, or a user-defined module. This allows for the unlocking of a batch instance. When unlocking a batch instance, this will remove the current user from the batch instance and not apply any of his or her changes to the batch instance. This interface also allows for the deletion of batch instances from the queue. The batch execution details at the bottom of the screen provides information on the modules and plugins that have executed, the currently executed plugins, and the plugins needing to be executed. This will give the current status of a batch instance, the drop folder location of the source files. This will provide a snapshot of the error information if a batch instance goes into an error state. There is also a troubleshooting menu located on the right-hand side of the screen that allows for the downloading of logs, the batch class, the application directory, the batch instance folder, the database information, the drop folder, and the license information. Once the download is selected, this will download the information to the user's desktop. This is useful when access to the server is restricted or there is a multi-server environment and all of the log file information is needed. Columns can be added or removed for the current logged in user. Filters can be applied to add or remove batch instances from the list. This will only remove them from the current view. The graphs located on the left side of the screen indicate the various statuses that batch instances are in. These graphs will change based on the filters that are applied within the interface. The next administrator screen we will discuss is the folder management. To access the folder management menu, either use the slide out menu located on the left side of the screen, or if you are not logged into the application, it can be accessed from the administrator menu from the home page by selecting folder management. If you are not logged in, the application will ask for your credentials to access the application. Folder management allows user access to the Effisoft shared folders directory where he or she may not have access to the server or network share. The folder selection widget provides a drop-down list showing all the folders available for the selection. By default, the first item in the list will always be selected. If the drop-down menu is not utilized, there is a tree that a user can select, which will provide all of the directories that a user has access to. Within the folder management grid, this will show both the files and directories that are within the Effisoft shared folders location. A user with access to the folder management interface has the ability to add and remove files from the Effisoft shared folders directory. The next admin screen we will discuss is reports. To access reports, use the slide out menu on the left-hand side of the screen. If you are not logged into the application, this can be done from the home screen. Select the Administrator menu and select Reports. Reporting provides information to administrators about the performance of the Effisoft Transact application. The various features of reporting are by license type. There are 3 license types for reporting. There's the standard license, advanced license, and the custom license. Reporting will be covered in greater detail in a future tutorial. The next administrator screen we'll discuss is the system configuration. This screen is only available to the Transact Super Admin group. To access the system configuration, use the slide out menu on the left-hand side of the screen. This screen can only be accessed once logged into the application. It cannot be accessed from the home page. Again, only the Super Admin group has access to the system configuration screen. Within the system configuration, an admin can create or add to the regular expression pool. They can access the regular expression builder. They can modify the workflows by removing dependencies from certain plugins. The Cloud Hyperextender can be configured. An admin can add or remove or modify the database connection information for the database lookups and for database export. The license detail information can be seen. The groups or roles can be provided different access to the various areas within the application. And the currency configuration can be modified. The tutorial covered the administrator screens within the Effisoft Transact application. This included the batch class management screen, batch instance management, folder management, reports, and system configuration. Thank you for watching.